next topic, which is chapter 6, starting a business. And we have a number of procedures that we need to go through when you are starting a business. So the first one is identification of a business idea. So you look for the idea. You can use a number of methods. You can use what we call brainstorming. You can carry out market research to be able to get these ideas. Then develop a business plan. That is our last topic. We are going to see how we do it. So come up with a business plan is an outline of how you intend to run and operate the business. And the other one is location of a business, demand evaluation. So identify a good location. The other one is registration of business. So you need to go through the processes of registration. Like in Kenya, we have what we call a registrar of companies. That is an office of the registrar of companies. So that is where you begin. You register your company. So you are given what we call a certificate of incorporation to be able to start and operate a business. Then make a choice of the business organization. We are going to look even for that particular sentence. There is an area we are going to be discussing those business organizations. By that we mean, are they sole proprietorships? Are they private businesses? Are they companies? And so on and so forth. Then we come up with a business name. Then after that, we need to obtain the relevant trading licenses and permits. And lastly, we need to have startups. So we can be able now to start and run a business. There are a number of ways that we can use to generate business ideas. So we need to identify a need. Then we can brainstorm. Brainstorm is where we gather a number of us. Then we can ask, what do you think? What idea do you have? The other person, what idea do you have? Then we are able to move forward. The other one is building on one's skill, hobbies, and interests. So we can build on one's skill. The other one is spotting a market niche. So this is what we call identifying entrepreneurial gaps or the need gaps. Then we can be able to move forward and start whatever business or whatever idea that we have been able to agree on. The other one is listening to what people say. So we need to be able to listen. So that is through, of course, consulting different people. There are people that have businesses. Maybe you can find out from some few of their customers, what do they think about a certain product. Then the other one is through research, and then through importing an idea. Characteristics of a good business idea. The first one, easy to manage and involve minimal risks. So we do not want to come up with business ideas that are very risky. The other one is does not require excessive capital investment. So if you are a startup, definitely you may not be able to have a lot of money to begin the business. So you can think of an idea that will not cost you much as you start. The other one is offers a good returns on capital. So you also need returns, and you need returns in terms of profit. The other one is idea has scope for growth, expansion, and diversification. So the opportunity or the idea that you are thinking about should be able to give you a chance to grow as a business. The other one is comparative with owners, goal, and interest. So it should be something you love doing. It should be something that you are interested in. The other one is not against expectations of the society. Remember, every society have rules and regulations. So you have to make sure that you abide by the laws and regulations that have been set. The other one is as a short gestation period. So gestation period is that you do not start a business that is going to even take you a number of years before you recover your investment. Then has a readily available market, and lastly, easy to exit when necessary. Sometimes circumstances will force you to close the business, So how easy is it to exit in terms of the choice of the business that you have? Then factors to consider when starting a small business. So of course we begin with the need, and that is borrowed from the need gap. How is the market? What is needed in the market? Of course, it has been said for you to be a successful entrepreneur, you look for a problem to solve within the market. Then the second one is uniqueness. You need to be able to stand out as an entrepreneur. The other one is the market. Consider the broad market your business can serve. And the fourth one is a specific audience. So you need to have a target group, and that can be, you can maybe look at serving a certain age, serve a certain location, and by doing so you are able to succeed. So this is a continuation. Factors to consider: we also need capital, that is the money required to start. Other forms of funding, it can be from business loans, credit, or contribution from friends. And the other one is location. Where do you open up your business? And then we have these others that we are saying: the government regulations, marketing, distribution, competitors. All those are considerations in terms of starting a small business. Then you are going to look at what we call the forms of ownership. We have a number of them. So the first one is the sole proprietorship, and the word sole means one. So when you are in a sole proprietorship kind of a business, you singly own that kind of an entity. Some of the characteristics include the business is owned by one person, the capital is contributed by the owner and is usually small. Owner enjoys all the profits alone and also suffers the losses alone. And then we are saying there are a number of few legal requirements to start the business. And lastly, sole proprietorship is flexible. It is very easy to change the location or the nature of the business. So these are just some few characteristics of these single owned business entities. What are some of the benefits of sole proprietorship? Capital required to start may be small. That's a good point. Then the trader is accountable to him or herself. So you are able to hold yourself into account, ask yourself questions, and how do you solve problems that might arise. Then sole trader is able to keep top secrets of the business, so you can be able to keep secrets. The other one is he or she enjoys profits, all the profits. The other one is a sole proprietorship is flexible. One can change the nature or even the location of the business as the need arises. We have talked about that under the characteristics. Decision making and implementation is fast because the proprietor does not have to consult anybody. So because it's a single owned business, you do not waste a lot of time consulting. And the capital required to start is small. That's okay. It's more like a repetition of our first point. Disadvantages of sole proprietorship: insufficient capital for expansion because of scarce resources. So we may lack capital to expand. Remember, financial institutions are not even willing to fund these sole proprietors. They look at them as very risky areas to put their money on. So the other disadvantage is being overworked. Then there is lack of continuity in the sole proprietorship. That is, the business is affected by sickness or death. So when a sole proprietor is sick or they have died, sometimes the business may not continue to run. So lack of specialization in the running of the business may lead to poor performance. So when you are a sole trader, it's like you are a jack of all trades. You are the accountant, you are the marketer, you are the procurement manager, you are the human resource manager. So it becomes a disadvantage, of course, to the business because you cannot be able to do everything right. Then we can see how do we dissolve sole proprietorship. Number one is death or insanity of the owner. So dissolution is how will this sole proprietorship come to an end. So it may be through death. The other one is it may be transfer of business to another person. Some sole traders will sell this business to other people. So ownership definitely is going to change. Bankruptcy of the owner. So sometimes you may lack finances. So of course, when you do not have finances, you cannot be able to run the business. So the other one is the owner voluntarily decides to dissolve the business, e.g. due to continued loss making. The other one is passing of a law which renders the activities of the business illegal. Passing of a law. So we may have laws will of course keep on changing. So sometimes they may not favor you. Like in Kenya recently, we had a policy that the president announced that all the scrap metal business have been banned. So there is no sale and buying of scrap metals. And of course, there are families that were solely depending on that for the success of their families. So sometimes in between a business, we can have those government policies that are putting you off. And lastly is the expiry of the period during which the business was meant to operate. So maybe you wanted the business to run for quite some time. So that becomes a challenge. Then from sole proprietorship, the other one is partnership. Relationship between persons who engage in businesses with the aim of making profits. So of course, partnership is more than two people. A number of characteristics. Capital contributed by partners themselves is of course wide, or it's huge, because if we are 10 of us, we can agree let each person contribute this amount. The other one is partnership as the limited life. That is, it may end anytime because of the death of the bankruptcy or the withdrawal of partners. The other one is each partner acts as an agent of the firm with the authority to enter into contracts. So if we are 10 of us and I go and get some business, I can agree that on behalf of every other partner that we are able to do that business. Then partners are co-owners of the business, having an interest or claim in the business. So each one is an owner of the entity. And the other one is responsibility, profit and losses are shared on an agreed basis. We have what we refer to as the sources of capital for partnerships. The first one is partners' contribution. So those that are in the partnership can be able to contribute. The other one is loans from banks. So we can approach banks to be able to finance us, to be able to support us as partners. The other one is getting items on hire purchase. So we have suppliers who are willing maybe to advance you the goods. Then when you sell, and you can be able to pay them. Then we have trade credit. The other one is plowing back profit. So whatever little profit that we make, plowing back means we put that profit back into the business. And the last one is leasing and renting. We have nowadays, like, the cost of land has become very expensive. So people will opt for leasing. People will opt for leasing. The other one is advantages of partnership. Unlike sole proprietorship, partnership can raise more capital. Unlike sole proprietorship, we are saying these guys, because there are a number of them, they can be able to raise more capital. The other one is work is distributed among the partners. This reduces the workload for each partner. So we reduce the workload because we are a number of us. The other one is varied professional skills. So we come into partnership all of us are skilled in different areas. So it is a plus to the organization because we may have lawyers, we may have accountants, and we may have every other person coming on board. We undertake any form of business agreed upon by the partners. That's okay. So whatever we agree, we can be able to proceed. But of course, we are saying the business must be a legal business. The other one is losses and liabilities are shared among partners. So we are able to do that. The other one is the continuity of business is not affected by death or absence of a partner, as would be in the case of sole proprietorship. Disadvantages: a mistake by one partner may result in losses which are shared on all the partners. For example, if I'm moving around with, we have a company as a number of partners, and then I am moving around with a car that is owned by us as partners, and then maybe an accident occurs and the car is written off, that is treated as a loss of the partnership. The other one is continued disagreements among partners can lead to termination of the partnership. So sometimes we may have disagreements. Remember, where we have many people, we can have a number of challenges taking place. Then decision making is slow since all partners must agree. So there is a lot of consultation here. So the decision becomes quite slow. A partnership that relies heavily on one partner may adversely be affected on retirement or death. So when we are fully dependent on one partner to do a very crucial function within the organization setup, if they are not there, then it's like the business is not able to run. And we are saying a hard-working partner may not be rewarded in proportion to his or her effort because the profits are shared among all the partners. And then the other one is few sources of capital due to uncertainty in the continuity of business. Few financial institutions will be willing to give long-term loans to the firm. Now, how does a partnership come to an end? The first one is by mutual agreement. So all the partners can agree that now we can dissolve this partnership. The other one is death, insanity, or bankrupting of a partner. And we have said in that scenario is when the person is playing a very crucial role in the business. The other one is a temporary partnership on completion of the intended purpose or at the end of the agreed time. So that one is, maybe we had agreed we are going to do an activity X. Once we are complete with the activity, now we can be able to wind up. The other one is written request for dissolution of a partner. One partner can be able to write a request that we need to dissolve. So it can be considered based on the reasons that are there. The other one is if the business engages in unlawful practices. Every country has laws that govern that particular country. Like in Kenya, you are not supposed to engage in illegal practices of selling bhang, selling poaching. So if people, and also trading of gold, those are termed to be illegal businesses. So if a partnership is found to be engaging in such, then the business is affected. The other one is retirement or admission of a new partner may lead to a permanent or temporary dissolution. And lastly, continued disagreements among partners. Then after sole proprietorship, we have discussed partnerships. Now we have what we call limited liability companies. And we are saying a company is an association of persons registered under the Companies Act who contribute capital in order to carry out the business. So people can come together, but now they register what we are calling a company. And we are saying when you register a company, that act of registering a company is called incorporation. And we are saying incorporation creates an organization that is separate and distinct from the person forming it. So the company is a distinct entity. We are going to see what we mean by that. It can be sued, it can sue, it can enter into contracts. And then the other statement, we are also saying that a company is a legal entity that has status of an artificial person. It therefore has the most of the rights and obligations of a human being. Then we are saying companies have perpetual life, or they have perpetual existence. They have perpetual existence, so they can continue to exist. The other one is a company can therefore do the following. This is now what makes it an artificial entity. The first one is it can be able to own property. The second one is it can be able to enter into contracts in its own name. The other one is that it is able to borrow money. So a company can be able to borrow money. So it can go to banks, seek for advancement of loans. The other one is that it can hire and fire employees. We are also saying it can sue and be sued in its own right. So when a company has some legal cases, it is presumed that it is the company that has been sued. So that's why they are able to go ahead and employ legal teams to represent them. And then they can form subordinate agencies, that is agencies under its authority. The other one is G, disseminate or spread information. And H, the owners or members of a company are referred to as shareholders. Now, when it comes to the formation of a company, there are critical documents that we need to present. And we are saying the people that form companies are called promoters. Now, promoters, you have to present a number of documents. The first one is what we call the Memorandum of Association. And we are saying it's a document that defines the relationship between the company and the outsiders. So within the Memorandum of Association, the document, there are some things that we find within this document we are calling the Memorandum of Association. The first one is the name of the company, or the name clause. We are saying that the name of the company must be stated and should end with the word limited. So state the name, and it should also end with the word limited at the end. Some companies end their names with PLC, which stands for Public Limited Company. So that is the name clause. It's a very, very important. So we need to see, yes, you want to register a company. What is the name of the company? The other one is the object clause of the company. This set out the activities that the company should engage in. So the object clause is the purpose. What is the reason why you exist? You need to state that. Remember, we have said we shouldn't begin these entities to run illegal activities. The other one is situation clause. Every company must have a registered office. So the situation clause is in terms of location. Where is the location of the office? The other one is the capital clause. It states that the amount of capital which the business can raise. So what is the total amount of the business, or the capital? And the other one is a declaration clause. Now this one indicates that all the promoters have agreed to form a company. So it's a declaration. We need to see signatures of all the promoters. We have said those are the people that begin the business. Then from the Memorandum of Association, we have also what we call the Articles of Association. So this is a document that governs the internal operations. So these ones govern operations within the business. And we are saying a number of things are found on this particular document. Rights of each type of a shareholder, e.g. voting rights. So sometimes shareholders are expected to take a vote. So we need to have that very well inscribed in the Articles of Association. The other one is methods of calling meetings and procedures. The other one is rules governing elections of officials such as chairman of the company, directors, The other one is rules regarding preparation and auditing of accounts. So how do we check through our accounts? The other one is powers, duties, and rights of the directors. And lastly is the methods of dealing with any alterations on the capital. Then from the Articles of Association, the third one, now we present a declaration that registration requirements as laid down by the law, by the Companies Act, have been met. And we are saying this declaration must be signed by the secretary or a director or a lawyer. And then we are saying the other one is a list of directors with the details of their names, addresses, occupations, shares. So a list of directors, we need to present them, all of them. We need to show who are the owners of the company. The other one is a statement signed by the directors stating that they have agreed to act as a directors. So every director needs to be able to sign. And lastly is a statement of the share capital. We are saying this statement gives the amount of capital that the company wishes to raise and its subdivision into shares. Now once you present all these documents, you receive a certificate, and this is the certificate we refer to as the certificate of incorporation or the certificate of registration. So we have the types of companies. We have what we call the private limited companies. We have a number of characteristics in terms of the number of people that form those companies. They can be 2 to 50. The other one is does not advertise its shares to the public but sells them privately to specific people. So what we call shares are units of ownership. So for private companies, they don't advertise them for the public to see. Then that is definitely the opposite of public that you are going to see in the next slides. Restricts transfer of shares. That is, a shareholder cannot sell his or her shares freely without the consent of shareholders. So if you want to sell, of course you have to consult the shareholders, because that is a private entity. Maybe the person that you are bringing on board will be a person that will bring a lot of issues to the business. The other one is that it can be managed by 1 or 2 directors. A big private company may, however, require a board of directors. The other one has a special legal entity and can own property, enter into contracts, sue or be sued. And lastly, has limited liability. Limited liability means in case we want to wind up a private limited company, limited liability means if we have debts that we need to pay, then we can only restrict ourselves on raising funds from what we have owned by the time we started the company. We are going to see the difference of that with the unlimited one. Then we have the public limited company. Characteristics: a minimum of 7 shareholders, and cannot start business before it is issued with a certificate of trading. That is what we have just called a certificate of incorporation. So for public limited companies, you have to wait to receive that certificate. It's managed by a board of directors. And so there are directors who take or run the activities. Then the shares are freely transferable from one person to another. And it advertises its shares to the public and invites the public to subscribe for it. So we have said shares are units of ownership. So public limited companies are allowed to sell to anyone. That's why you may find people having even few shares in a company, because it's a public company. Anyone can own shares. There are no restrictions. They must publish their end-year accounts and the balance sheets. So publication of your books of accounts is a must for public limited companies, and you need to publicly do it. So pay even print media to be able to to publish that. And then the other one is has perpetual existence. So the company needs to continually exist. Dissolution. How do we bring to an end a company? Number one, failure to commence the business within 1 year. So you have received a certificate of incorporation, and within that year, you have not been able to commence business. So that will bring to an end that kind of a business. The other one is insolvency. When a company is not able to pay its debts, it can be declared insolvent and wound up or come to an end. The other one is ultra vires. Remember, we said that we need to state our object clause. Remember that? So ultra vires is going against what you stated in that clause. You said you will be doing this, and then you go contrary and begin to do other things that you have not stated. That will amount or will contribute to dissolution of companies. And then the other one is amalgamation. When two or more companies come together, of course, the larger company we can maybe say swallowing or the smaller company, and that will bring the smaller company to an end. The other way that we can dissolve companies is through court orders. So we may have issues. The court might order that company be closed. Maybe it has been found to participate in irregular activities. The other one is decision by shareholders. Shareholders may decide to dissolve a company in a general meeting. And lastly is the accomplishment of a purpose or expiry of a period of operation. So if a period of operation has come to an end, we can be able to dissolve or bring to an end. Challenges in starting a small business: lack of entrepreneurial skills. We mentioned that someplace. Estimating the market demand. So we may not be sure. We may not have done the right research. So whatever we are estimating as our customers and how goods will be demanded may not be the actual ground when we launch the product. The other one is estimating the capital and the operating expenses. The other one is meeting legal requirements. So maybe you can see so many documents, maybe like when you are registering companies. So if you are not able to meet the criteria for providing those documents, it becomes hard for the business to continue to thrive. Financial institutions are redundant to lend startups. So financial institutions are not willing to lend startups or those businesses that are starting. And the other one is identifying a reliable source of supply. And lastly, selecting a suitable business location. We have challenges of location. So on that particular last point, there is an assignment there you're going to find out the considerations in choice of a business location. So find out on what should one consider when they are looking at the business location.